Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life. Hey everybody, Brian Smith here with the Iron Team series and the Daily Influence. This week we've been talking about owning your mistakes, consistency, and now we're going to talk about balance. And specifically, we're going to talk about work-personal life balance. And within that, the balance within each. So there's really three different types of balance that we deal with as humans. And they affect us or influence us in different ways. The first and the number one understanding about balance is that it is amazingly subjective. One person's balance is another person's imbalance. And one of the early mistakes we make as humans, especially professional humans, is trying to recreate somebody else's balance, trying to live up to the Joneses, to try to put ourselves on a same playing field that we might see others being on. And when we chase that imbalance for ourselves, or when we chase that balance of others, we create an imbalance for ourselves. And that might be one of the leading contributors of imbalance in many humans' lives. Others are influencing that. For example, if we live in a community where we live in a community of big homes and everybody's buying new cars, you might notice that that spreads through an entire neighborhood. I know that when Renee and I and our family lived in Colorado, that was the case for us. In our neighborhood, it was funny to watch when somebody bought a new car in our little cul-de-sac. Within 4 to 6 weeks, 3 or 4 others in the neighborhood would buy new cars. And this cycle would repeat. You could watch this cycle repeat within our friend groups and within the little neighborhood enclaves that they lived in. And it was interesting to see this influence that happens amongst humans living in similar uh, life situations. What was also interesting to see was how hard that people had to work to keep up with that image, to keep up with that almost facade that they thought would make them happy. And as we get older, we learn about what our happinesses are, what we can live with and not live with. Sometimes how silly it is when we chase others. Sometimes as we get older, we don't learn that lesson and we're stuck in the rut of constantly pushing ourselves to the edge to maintain that level of influence that we think we need to have to keep up with those around us, to stay within our social groups or whatever social structure we have chosen for ourselves. And that's okay. That's what I mean about balance being subjective to you, and you have to determine what that is. If you work 18 hours a day and you're happy with working 18 hours a day, and the free time you get on those days that you don't work 18 hours is enough to bring that balance to you, and you're content with that, and those around you is content with that, then that's your balance. If you work 5 hours a day and live a less dramatic life, uh, a life not full of the stuff other people have, and you're happy with that, then that's good for you also. Balance takes focus. Balance takes understanding, coming to terms with what your needs are, setting yourself up for that success. I can tell you from dramatic experience what imbalance can do. I chased this success model for my family. That's what I told myself, trying to build this organization that we have. And in the early days, I didn't have balance, flying all over. I missed seeing my children grow up when they were younger. It was a dramatic imbalance. You could actually visibly see my health deteriorate. I lost friends over it. I actually had somebody who that I really enjoyed in our life as a friend. His name was Paul Ballas, and he was an amazing person. And he actually called me and told me, we can't be friends anymore because your lifestyle, you don't have enough time to devote to being a friend. You don't give to me as a human what I need in a friend, so we can't be friends. And that was kind of selfish, but he was honest and he needed to do what was best for he and his family. And while that was painful for me, I didn't really understand until later in my life, within the last 10 years, what that really meant. It meant that I was out of balance. And because of it, I lost a good friend. And yes, I've made other friends and I've brought that balance back. That's part of what life is, learning. But understanding the imbalances we create and the things that we do to cause those imbalances is really important because it can help us not repeat. When we talk about consistency, many of us have a consistency. That consistency is we are constantly throwing ourselves out of balance. We are constantly keeping ourselves out of balance to chase something that we think is attainable, but is it really if it's keeping us out of balance all the time? Is it attainable if we're constantly unhappy, we're constantly chasing, we're constantly under stress, under anxiety to meet or reach these certain places that we think we want to be at? That sounds like imbalance to me. And we can apply this at work too, in our work environments. If you find yourself in a work environment where people aren't doing what they should do, they are relying on others to provide balance to their inadequacies. If we are hiring or doing something to not prepare people to understand their positions and what the obligations they have in those positions, we create imbalance. And when we create imbalance for those people in the work environment or for ourselves in our work environment, it ultimately can ripple effect, can influence our personal life. It can interfere with our personal life. When I used to travel so much and I didn't delegate, and I love to delegate, but I didn't delegate certain things. So I would travel, do my consulting, and then I would come back and I would have to do all the work that I could have had somebody else doing here, which meant I spent more time away from my family. I created an imbalance. What that ultimately led to was my son saying to the carpet cleaner, would you play with me because my daddy's never here? And it was that statement of imbalance that got me to slow down, refocus, and move my family to Southern Oregon and to slow ourselves down so that I could try to have better work-life balance. And it was the best thing that happened to us. Not only did I get my family back, but I also focused on my company. I had more control over IA. Even though we were disconnected from the majority of our work in Southern Oregon, because our work was in Colorado and elsewhere around the world, I was dramatically disconnected from it. I had to delegate. I had to push out that work to other people so I could focus on the work that I had there that included reconnecting with my family, rebalancing my family. It actually allowed my company to grow. It allowed me to think clearer. I slowed everything down and allowed it to grow faster. When we get balance, we can do these things because things come into focus. So being in balance is such an important part of our lives. And if you don't understand what that means in your area of influence, talk to somebody about it, write it out. Just remember that balance is subjective and it's based on your individual needs and goals and your wants. You got to determine for yourself how to balance your work and life. And don't chase someone else's life. Make your own life. If you do, you're likely going to create some imbalance. And if you know and understand yourself, you can determine what makes you feel balanced and imbalanced. Slow down and think about yourself. Think about why you want what you want. What is the root cause of these desires? What is the root cause of these aspirations that you have? What do you want from them? And what are you willing to give away to get them? Because along the way, you're going to be teetering back and forth in this balance imbalance cycle. And how much can you handle? How much are you willing to sacrifice? How much positivity can you get out of it along the way? And if you're not sure, make sure that you think about that plan so that the balance stays as close to balance as you can through your journey. And to create a balanced work environment, instill a culture of understanding that you're a team. What one doesn't do, another must. When one fails, everyone fails. So build everybody up. And when one succeeds, everyone succeeds. And that's how balance in our work environments can be fulfilled. I hope that this talk about balance helps you to understand your balance, rebalance, unbalance if you're overbalanced, whatever area of influence you find yourself on this journey of balance finds you today. I hope we help you get there. I hope you have a great day too. Thank you.